Welcome back to the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League. The teams are out and ready to go as the PBG Alaskan Knights face off with the Ganges Grandmasters. We want you to get involved with our poll. Who will win today's match? The PBG Alaskan Knights or the Ganges Grandmasters? Head to fans.globalchessleague.com and cast your vote. Let's head over to Ketty to bring out the teams.
Help me to welcome PBG Alaskan Knights and Ganges Grandmasters. Ganges Grandmasters, led by icon Vachier-Lagrave, led by Arjun Ergassi, Parham Moksajlu, Vaishali Ramesh Babu, Nurgul Salimova, and Volodar Murzin. PBG Alaskan Knights, led by icon Anish Giri. We have Nadirbek Abdusattarov, Shahriar Mamediarov, Tan Zhongyi, Alina Kashlinskaya, and Nihal Sarin. The players shall take a seat.
Players are out and games are about to start. Let's head over to our commentary team with Tanya Sachdev and Sagar Shah.
Thank you so much, James. What an atmosphere we have there with the crowd setting in. Tanya, this is so exciting for the fans.
So exciting, Sagar. You know, we've had the appetizer, we've had the main course, and now this is what we get for desserts. It's Vachier-Lagrave taking on Anish Giri. What an incredible day of chess. And for the PBG Alaskan Knights, you know, after yesterday's defeat, what mindset are they coming in with?
And the Ganges Grandmasters did score a win yesterday. So will the momentum keep going? You know, will they be able to beat the PBG Alaskan Knights? If that happens, Tanya, it will throw open the tournament like anything.
For the Knights, the aura of invincibility has been shattered. Can the Ganges Grandmasters serve them their second defeat of the tournament? We will have liftoff in just a few. And Sagar, for the icons, so much on their shoulders on this one.
Right. Vishy is searching for his first win in the tournament, and so is Anish. Let's see how this goes. E4 by Vachier-Lagrave. He moves his king pawn, and Anish also responds back in symmetrical fashion. The knight comes out. It seems like we are having the very famous Berlin opening.
And now what we have is known as the anti-Berlin opening, where white doesn't allow the trade of pawns, keeps everything solid. But this opening has a reputation of being incredibly solid.
Yes, very solid here. Very solid choice by Anish Giri against Vachier-Lagrave. And I think as has been the strategy of the PBG Alaskan Knights, Anish remains solid on board one, and the remaining players try to get the job done, especially Nihal Sarin on the Prodigy board.
Nihal Sarin versus Volodar Murzin. Now, when Vishy and Anish played just a few days ago, that match ended in a draw, and so far it's been a strategic fight, a strategic opening. We'll see how this one develops, but action, it's liftoff on the other boards.
Oh my God, look at what opening has been chosen by Nadirbek Abdusattarov. He is not in a solid mode. He goes for a knight development. And Tanya, this is known as the Alekhines defense. And he's telling Arjun, come at me with all you got. I'm going to defend myself.
This is anything but solid chess. This is chaos from the start, but both players showing that they are in their preparation. They're playing quickly in a non-standard opening, which means that, Sagar, they're very familiar with the moves and the ideas in this position. But I have to say, those central pawns, the space that white has already built, starts to look a little scary visually for black.
Yeah, I definitely think that Arjun has a very good position in spite of the last move being shown as a mistake. This will be a very exciting game to keep an eye on as we move to the game between Parham Maksudlu and Shakhriyar Mamedyarov on board 3. This game, Tanya, the last time they played against each other, Maksudlu dominated the entire game and then made a last move blunder to let Mamedyarov win.
Absolutely, Sagar. So it's a bit of a grudge match between these two players. And the last time these teams met, the Alaskan Knights dominated that match with 3 victories on 3 boards.
Yes.
Can the Ganges Grandmasters turn the story around?
And right now we have a very simple opening there played by Shakhriyar. He's pushed his king pawn 1 square up, and Parham thinks for a bit, brings out his knight, and this is going to be going in the Queen's Gambit territory after the pawn pushes forward. This is what most likely will happen here. But Parham, you know, he's taking his time for his opening moves. He's not playing so quickly, Tanya.
He finally does take the decision to exchange first, get one set of pawns off the board, and then advances that queen's pawn to open the diagonal for the bishop. You want development. You want to be able to take your pieces out, and that's where this game is headed, all towards the opening development moves.
Right, and now we have Vaishali versus Tan Zhongyi. We have another very solid opening chosen by Tan Zhongyi. She plays the what is known as the Petrov defense, where you kind of mirror what your opponent is doing and you take the pawn, and then this is where we stand. Vaishali might go with her queen up and Tanya castle long. It could get quite exciting.
Very quickly. Now, traditionally, this opening is known to be one that's extremely solid and strategic, a positional battle, but new ideas that have been shown over the recent past have developed these different ways of getting your king to safety, which often leads to attacking on either flanks of the board.
Right, and there we have board number 5 beginning. Nurgyul Salimova is taking on Alina Kashlinskaya, and this is one more game where Alina had won last time, so Nurgyul will be looking for revenge. And there we have Nihal Sarin versus Volodar Murzin, the game which has begun here. And did you notice this, Tanya? The move that Nihal has chosen here was the same move that Jonas chose. Maybe they both sat down yesterday together.
It didn't work so well for Jonas, so Nihal hopefully has some other plans right now. Now, once again, you want to improve the position of your pieces at the start of the game. We see this move. Why is it non-traditional, Sagar? Because it blocks the diagonal of its own bishop, of its own friend, stopping it from coming to an active square.
Yeah, and the bishop is blocked into the territory, but Nihal is saying that, look, I'm in great form here. I'm actually scoring heavily for my team. 16 points, Tanya. The only other player who has scored more points than him is Ali Reza Firouzja.
He's been relentless. Just a success machine for the Alaskan Knights, the MVP in the team so far.
Absolutely, and if he wins today, he becomes the highest scoring player in the team. And look at that move. He's pushed his F-pawn down the board.
And that's the whole idea that it relies on. We were blocking one bishop, the bishop on the dark squares, but that last move opened up the light squared bishop, which now defends the pawn that's moved up the board. This is going to get spicy. And when I say spicy, I mean Sriracha level spicy here.
Right. Generally, we are told not to move our F-pawns because it can get weak there. But he has done that. And talking about not moving pawns, I think Salimova has not really listened to that thing. She's just moving her pawns.
She's doing the anti of that. This is the 4 pawns opening because the central 4 pawns have gone up the board, creating a lot of space, but also losing time for development. So it's a trade-off, and how this works depends on how well prepared Alina Kashlinskaya is.
Yes, generally it's said that this opening is not so dangerous for black, because it has been neutralized by the theory. However, Tanya, the question is, as you said, has Alina prepared for it? Has she looked at her notes before the game? When was the last time she revised it? It could be like months ago.
And if that's the case, it can be really unpleasant to face this opening with the black pieces. It's going to be a fun battle. And we see that Alina, she's taking some time, Sagar, so perhaps not as familiar, or at least hasn't checked the opening in the recent past. But I like how she's handling it. She's gone for the most direct approach. You've developed your pieces if you're Alina Kashlinskaya. It's time to strike in the center.
Right, and with this move, she is saying, give me back some space, and generally, white takes, and then pushes the pawn forward. And Tanya, we'll come back to this game. It's time to go to board number 2, where Arjun Erigaisi is taking on Nodirbek Abdusattorov, and it seems like the gamble has paid off for Nodirbek.
I'm just trying to do the math here, and we see that Black has an extra pawn right now. So you've got an extra pawn, but White has got this huge pawn on d6.
Yes, this is a very dangerous pawn, just 2 steps away from queening, Tanya, but it could well become a weakness.
And that's what this revolves around. Is this a strength in White's position, or will it be a liability? Because Black can start targeting this pawn. You can't allow it to move any further. But still, for Nodirbek, there's a lot of work to be done. I think it's a very double-edged position, Sagar, this one.
Yeah, the engines say that it's actually slightly better for Black, Tanya. I want to go back to a couple of moves like that happened, because at this point, we left saying White is better, and then just here it showed like a huge advantage, but suddenly Arjun, instead of taking this pawn here, which could have been better, he moved his knight, and then eventually this castle turns out to be a big error, because I guess he missed the fact that the pawn could come forward, not just take here, and then he had to move here and finally give up a pawn. So Tanya, the opening has actually not gone Arjun's way, is what I feel.
I would agree with you, and especially looking at the clock, he took his time, but things went wrong, which forced him into a bit of a think. Nodirbek, he's trying to think, how does he maximize his chances right now? He's up a pawn. He needs to control this D pawn that Arjun has, which is a big thorn in Black's position right now. But definitely the opening battle has been won by Nodirbek Abdusattorov.
Yes, and by the way, both players have 15 minutes on their clock. 15 minutes 42 seconds for Arjun. 15 minutes 4 seconds for Nodirbek.
And I like what he's doing. He develops his bishop. He's going to bring the rook into the game as well, line it up against that D pawn, and eventually start pushing in the center. Sagar, ideas like rook to that D file, the E pawn moving forward, and then you make the most of the extra pawn that you have.
Absolutely, Tanya. It's time for us to look at what Vishy Anand is doing against Anish Giri here. And we have a lot of tension in the position. One set of minor pieces have been traded, but apart from that, nothing much.
There's a lot going on the left side of the board. A little move by Vishy, but big tension on the queen side. The flank, as we see right now, some trades on offer, and it's all about who will blink first. And perhaps the best decision is to keep the tension as it is.
Yes, I mean, whoever blinks here, the other side gets an advantage. If White takes the pawn, then Black would be happy. If Black takes here, White would be happy. So that is how things stand. And you know, Tanya, Anish and Vishy go back very long in history. Like, they've first met each other in like mid 2000s somewhere. But in 2010, when Anish was just 16 years old, he actually went to Vishy's training camp when he was preparing against Topalov for the World Championship match. And at that point, he realized what top level chess is all about. And I think since then, he has had a lot of respect for Vishy. But now, they both are rivals.
They both are rivals. It's that story of when your idols become your rivals.
Yes.
And I know that Anish, you know, he, like you very rightly said, has so much regard for Vishwanathan Anand and all the achievements that he's done. It's going to be interesting to see that if this came down to a time scramble, how quickly Anish is able to play. And will he have it in him to try to flag Vishy? But that's a far way off. Meanwhile, Anish goes with the plan that you were discussing. Keeps the tension, no trades. Says, if you trade, that's going to be on my terms.
Yeah, right now, Anish is making sure that he stays there on the board, because this match can go in any direction. For now, we should definitely check out the board between Parham Maksudlu and Mamedyarov on board number 3, Tanya. That seems like something that's heating up.
It's already pretty hot. What on earth is even happening here? There's an H pawn that's off the board for black. White has managed to capture a pawn. Right now, that's a healthy extra pawn, it looks to me.
That's a nice pawn there, and you're attacking another pawn, Tanya. And if Mamedyarov doesn't find a way to get compensation, he might just be a pawn down.
And you know, you're thinking that, wait, black can return the favor, capture white's pawn, which has moved up 2 squares on the H file. But Sagar, there are so many tactics that exist on the board. You can start attacking on this H line by first pushing the bishop away and then capturing that G pawn. So
And then
really,
you just lose the rook.
you lose the game, the house falls. So no good way for black to regain material at this point.
But Mamedyarov is like, hey, I'm actually creating my play on the other side of the board. I don't care that you take another pawn. This is what Shakhriyar Mamedyarov does. You know, he just doesn't care about what theory is, or, you know, you want to play very calmly. He's just throwing caution to the winds here.
Yes, Shakhriyar is the king of chaos. He loves these kind of positions, which is super rich, complicated in lines, and it's a tactical party on the board. Right now, we see white putting pressure on the right side of the board. Meanwhile, Shakhriyar going for that C3 pawn on the other flank.
Right, it's time for us, Tanya, to move to board number 6, the Prodigy board. But before that, we look at the overview here that we have the 6 boards on our screen. If you look carefully, then we see that Arjun Erigaisi on board number 2 is in trouble. So that's great news for the PBG Alaskan Knights. But on boards number 3 and 5 and even 4, there are small advantages for the Ganges Grandmasters.
But it's clear that the biggest advantage currently lies with Nodirbek Abdusatrov. And if that's the bottom left board that we see, and it's all because black has extra material on the board. You've got one healthy pawn. Meanwhile, white has a big weakness that can become a target as well, and that's the central pawn.
Yes, absolutely. So let's quickly head over to the Prodigy board. On board number 6 that we have Volodar Murzin versus Nihal Sarin. And in this game, we see that while Nihal is actually had started off with an offbeat opening, Tanya, he's slowly and steadily turning on the heat. He has a slightly better position and he wants to win this important bishop.
He's turning on the heat on the board and the clock as well. Nihal, known as the Bullet Beast, he's already got about a 5-minute lead on the clock, which we know in this format counts for so much. And the position's just starting to heat up right now. Now, visually, it looks like white is the more active one. The knight looking super good on g5. But these are superfluous knights. They're coming in each other's way, and there's really no other piece joining the party. Meanwhile, you highlighted a key point. A big attacker is about to get off the board.
Yeah, and actually, Nihal's pawns have made this wonderful sort of connect 4 here, gained a lot of space, and I think this is one more game where the PBG Alaskan Knights are going to be very happy.
And Nihal Sarin has been a big scoring machine. Can he get another win? Things look good here with the black pieces to start with this kind of position where you're putting the pressure on your opponent. And you can see it on the screen. Nihal's not even looking at the board right now. Meanwhile, Volodar, he looks a little shifty because he knows the pressure is on him. White right now in trouble here.
Yes, absolutely. So let's head over to board number 4 here where Vaishali is having a small edge over Tan Zhongyi. And if you look at the position, Tanya, it's very clear that white wants to push one pawn, then the other, and very soon get to the black king.
And Vaishali's had a rough tournament so far. She lost the 4 rounds. She lost her first 4 rounds, then stopped the bleeding with 2 draws. And this is a dream position out of the Petrov. We spoke about this, right? Kings castled on the opposite side, which means it becomes a race to each other's king. And it looks like Vaishali's landing on the finish line first. Look at those pawns moving up the board. Open lines are about to appear.
Yeah, I mean, where is Tan Zhongyi's counterplay? What is she going to do? There you go. Vaishali pushes her pawn. Black, in order to push the pawn, is going to take 3 moves, and white will just surpass the pawn. So This is looking very good for the Ganges Grandmasters here.
It's all about the king's safety. The white king's so safe with the pawn formation on that left side. Meanwhile, on the right side, attack is being created. This could very well be Vaishali's first win. Far way off,
Yes.
but Zhongyi has a big defensive task ahead of her.
For sure, she's an amazing player and a defender, but today she has come into Vaishali's type of position, and this is where she loves to attack. We'll wait and see. 60% chances for Vaishali going to board number 2, Tanya. This one is looking really bad for Arjun. He hasn't lost a single game here, 5 draws for him, but this might well be his first defeat.
But Arjun's not the kind of player to be happy with 5 draws. He's still hungry for his first win as well. Now for the PBG Alaskan Knights, this is the first board where they've actually got a massive advantage to get that black victory, which would get them 4 points. And what's going on here? We've got black, we've got Nodebek with the extra pawn. The king can just move up, looks completely safe. Meanwhile, white has a big weakness. There's a target. You might be 2 pawns down very soon.
Absolutely, Tanya. Another pawn, if it falls, this is over. This is completely over. In fact, here there's no counterplay even for Arjun. I mean, he's a guy who creates a lot of play. He finds a lot of trappy ideas. But here, do you think that he has any chance?
Arjun's a very tricky player, but there are such few pieces on the board that it becomes that much difficult to actually find those tricks on the board and create them, Sagar. I'm with you. This one is going Nodebek's way.
Yeah, and this is actually quite an unfortunate start there for Arjun, because he played the opening pretty well. He got an advantage, but somehow 1 or 2 careless moves, and that's what it all takes against a player of Nodebek's caliber. These two will rule the world of chess in the years to come. They are right now world number 3 and 5 or 6 respectively. Like, they are right there at the top. But for now, it's Nodebek who's going to, I think, win this.
Couldn't agree more with you, though. That matchup we're going to see for decades in the chess world. And right now, this matchup also a very critical one, as we see Nurgal Salimova against Alina Kashlinskaya. Head and hands for Alina, but I think she's not too worried about her position right now, because look at the play that black has managed to create in the center.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of play here. She's taken the pawn, and I think right now Salimova is wondering with which piece to capture. Because Tanya, after you take here, pawn takes, bishop takes, it's true that you have an idea of bringing your bishop here, but the knight is going to settle in. Also, you are losing a pawn here. So there are all these complications and calculations that need to be done.
And you only have so much time on the clock, and which is why we see Alina fully zoned in and focused, while it's actually Salimova's move.
Yeah.
She's trying to work these lines out so that when Salimova plays her move, Alina can respond quickly and put pressure on the clock.
Absolutely. And we have major movement that's happening on the icon board. Board number 1, Anish Giri is actually trying to get an advantage against Vishy Anand, because his rooks seem to have infiltrated on the far side.
It's the only open line on the board. Look at the board. Look at every single file that you see. There's a pawn, except the A1 on the flank, and there's one player who controls it. It's Anish Giri. That gives him the edge in this position.
Right, look at these 2 rooks, Tanya, and once you have control on one side, you basically make your opponent busy defending that side, and then you quickly unleash on the other side. So that's the point. You can break through here, and then Vishy would be just overworked. You know, his pieces won't have that flexibility to move.
That's great strategy. You first make sure that everything is tied down to the left side, and then overload your opponent by opening the second flank. Because of the space advantage that currently Anish enjoys in his position, it's easier for him to transfer the play from one side to another. For Vishy, not a pleasant defensive task.
Not at all. Also, time-wise, Anish has 10 minutes, 34 seconds. Vishy has 8 minutes, 19 seconds.
Do you think Anish will go all out right now with this move that you're pointing out? Will we see that pawn go one step ahead?
Well, if he does that, then that means that he is already sensing that his position is seriously better.
Reaching out, Sagar, and he does it.
Oh, he plays it, and Vishy is ready with his move. You know, that's the thing about Vishy, Tanya, that the moment he feels his position is worse, he starts playing quickly and starts putting some doubt in his opponent's mind.
And that's such a practical way to approach a position. You know that on the board, you're struggling, you want to put pressure on the clock. Meanwhile, Vichy getting his knights closer to the king, defending the position.
Yeah, but Tanya, now the queen enters here and there's going to be like a pawn push coming in. I'm actually very scared for Vichy's position.
It's just unpleasant for these top players of the world to defend these kind of positions where you really don't have your own activity. You're constantly looking for counterplay, but none is to be found. Vichy right now just needs to hold tight and defend.
Yeah, so right now, Tanya, the match is looking in the following way. Anish Giri and Nodirbek are dominating on boards 1 and 2 for the PBG Alaskan Knights. But on board 3, Parham Maksudlu has to strike for the Ganges Grandmasters. Board number 4, Vaishali has to strike. And this is the way in which maybe Ganges Grandmasters have chance. Because otherwise, on the first 2 boards, they are in big trouble.
And on the Shakryar Parham board, it's absolute chaos.
What is this?
What on earth is happening?
Look at this. All the white pieces have huddled together.
It's the most random chess position I've ever seen. The king in front of the queen next to the rook, the knight in front of the king. Everything is coming in its way. But yet white is doing well right now because it's really the black king feeling unsafe with the flank line open. It looks like Parham will be controlling the very important H-file.
Yeah. Once you take here, the queen enters in and suddenly the king is like, oh my god, didn't you guys go for an attack? Now suddenly, why am I in trouble here?
Chess changes quickly and what meets the eye is often not the story. Black looks active, but it's actually white who's on the push. A trade we see, Parham now controls the open H-file. The black king needs to defend itself. And look at the bishops, they're all coming in. That dark squared bishop can land at the center of the board at the right time, that E5 square, and then combine with the queen to give a checkmate on the square you're pointing out.
Amazingly spotted there, Tanya. This is looking like a huge advantage. Look at the win probability meter at the top. 89% right now. This is looking amazingly good for the Ganges Grandmasters.
I absolutely love this last move by Parham because he's getting rid of black's key defender. That knight that exists in Shakryar's position, if it's out of the board, it becomes very difficult for black to hold on and defend his own king.
Absolutely. So while Parham is doing his job here, let's quickly go to the icon board, Tanya. Is Anish Giri making progress here or has Vichy Anand gotten back?
I wouldn't completely call it gotten back, but it feels like there's progress for Vichy because one pair of minor pieces has gone off the board.
Yes.
So some pressure has been taken off, but still black looks like the dominating one here.
You know, Tanya, I think Anish is thinking about a pawn sacrifice here, which is to simply push his pawn down the board. It may not even be a sacrifice, but the idea is to make a square for your knight. Do you think that would happen?
It's a gutsy move. It's a gutsy move because you give up a central pawn. And the reason you're saying it's not a sacrifice is because that white queen is overloaded. It has to defend the c pawn as well. And he reaches out and he plays it. Anish Giri is playing for the win in this one.
Oh, Anish is playing really well. You can look at him. He's actually going for the kill today. And he's managing his time well. He's putting pressure on Vichy. Vichy does feel a bit nervous right now.
He's definitely feeling the nerves. If he captures the pawn or if he doesn't, that black knight is jumping into white's territory. 2 moves away from landing into a key d3 square, Sagar. And we see the pawn has been captured. Anish doesn't jump in just with the knight. He's reaching out for the rook.
He takes the pawn. He's like, why not? Let me take the pawn there. And this is looking good for the time being. Vichy is thinking whether to trade the rooks or not. And very quickly, Tanya, should we catch a glimpse of what's happening in the Nodirbek-Arjun battle here?
Let's do it, Sagar. Last we left it, things were looking great for Nodirbek Abdusatrov for the Alaskan Knights on this board. And it looks like it's the same story as black continues to have a material advantage in an endgame. A very healthy extra pawn there. It's just about technique here.
Yes, exactly. It's like this bishop is very well settled. You have an extra pawn. You are pushing them down the board. I do get a feeling that Arjun here does not have any chance, but at the same time, Arjun defends even the worst of positions, even worse positions than this. If he makes a draw, that would be huge for Ganges Grandmasters.
That would be a massive save for this position. It's an incredibly difficult endgame. Black has all the trumps right now. Just don't rush with that F-pawn, because Arjun set up a sneaky trick where the white bishop and the rook can combine. If you go F4, Sagar, there's a checkmate on the board.
That's so nice, Tanya. It's a mate here with the two pieces combining. That's not what Nordirbek does. He goes here, king back, and the rook quickly moves away. We should quickly check the prodigy board where Nihal Sarin, as we said, was trying to press against Volodar Murzin. Is that the situation still?
He's definitely pressing on the clock. We can see it there. Murzin feeling the time pressure. He's touching the 5-minute mark right now. Meanwhile, on the board as well, Nihal has managed to get his king to safety, while White's king is still in the center of the board. Things looking very tricky for White.
Yeah, this is not easy. You have these central pawns running. Also, the bishop is hanging. Notice that the last move, you couldn't take this pawn because the knight would have jumped here, given a check, and you would have lost the queen. So that way, Nihal quickly long castled here and telling his opponent, save your bishop, my pawns are coming down.
How is Nihal so accurate and so quick at the same time?
Well, he's just known as this master trickster. He's known for his speed chess from a very young age, and he's just continued that way. He's slowed down a bit in the world of chess, from not reached that 2700 mark, but he will very soon do that, Tanya.
That's the dream, Sagar. He's so talented, but right now he needs to use that talent in this position, because it's starting to get a bit tricky for Nihal as well. He has to be careful. But on the board in front of us, it looks like Shakhriyar is the one who needs to be very careful.
Game over, Tanya. He resigned. Parham Maksudlu scored the first win for Ganges Grandmasters. And look at Parham. He's not even like celebrating. He's telling Shak, why did you play that move? That's a chess lover for you there. He wants to know why his opponent played that move. And what a big win for the Ganges Grandmasters.
And getting that win in so quickly, it gives the confidence to the team, because that's a 4-point victory. That's a big one coming in for Parham. And now it's all eyes on the icon board. Can Vishy Anand defend a difficult position?
Yes, that would be a big thing for the Ganges Grandmasters. But Anish is now clearly better. He has a dominating knight as compared to the bishop. The pawns are weak. His rook is ready to enter in. Wow, 77% win probability for Anish Giri.
I think the numbers are not too far from what we see on the board right now. Anand keeping the queens on the board. But this allows a check.
Tanya, check comes in.
It's a fork. You have to give up your rook.
Okay, maybe Vishy saw that, or maybe he missed it, but it looks like this is very much over, right, Tanya?
Where is your compensation? If you jump in with the bishop, Sagar, the rook can slide itself all the way to the F line, and whose king is under attack? But there's a trick with h6. There's a trick with h6.
Beautiful line, Tanya, that you just showed. If the rook moves here, which would be an unfortunate move, Vishy still has his tricks here to win the rook. So not so soon. He played the move here. Pawn takes.
He starts with h6.
Oh, he checked and then checked. And now chopped the pawn.
You know, this is where you take the evaluation bar and chuck it out of the window, because Black's king can feel the heat. It's in the open. The queen is about to give a lot of checks. Anish quickly brings the rook to the defense.
Anish is like, no, I'm going to get my rook to defend here, and Vishy, I'm going to attack your king.
And there's really no good way to defend that pawn. You have to take some big decisions. Do you want to really tie down your queen to defending your king? No, you don't. You want it to be on the attack. Will Vishy take a gutsy decision of moving that f-pawn forward?
Oh, but that just opens up the king. And you know, Tanya, now the rook doesn't attack this way. It goes to the other side and starts to enter this way.
He's reaching out for the bishop. He blocks that file, instead keeps the king safe.
That was a smarter move there, just moving the bishop backwards.
And now the question is, Sagar, who will stop? We've forgotten about a very big trump in Anish Giri's position. There's a c-pawn. That's 3 steps away from becoming a queen.
Yeah, and Anish can push it right now, and I think he's going to do that. I feel the accuracy with which Anish has played in this game has been huge.
Anish looking very confident on the camera as well, but he was reaching out for the queen. I don't believe he's about to push that pawn just yet.
Yeah, he's trying to keep it all together. Perhaps queen c3 played. He's attacking the bishop, and Vishy now moves his bishop one step ahead.
And he can continue pursuing that bishop by centralizing his queen on a beautiful d4 square. You hit the bishop, you hit the pawn, forcing the bishop to retreat from where it came from. And I think that's when Anish will start marching that c-pawn up the board. And we see that being played out. This time Anand doesn't retreat with the bishop. He does push the f-pawn, and the c-pawn's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. It's amazing, Anish, how he's doing this. Tanya, I think he's better. But I want to tell you something that is quite shocking for me, that Vaishali on board number 4 has landed in a very bad endgame. We were talking about how it's a one-sided position and how she had a free-flowing attack. But that is not how things have panned out. In fact, she's now close to being lost.
And the position is all about calculation right now. Vaishali gets into big trouble here, and Sagar, could have something to do with her mindset. It's been a tough tournament for her so far.
Absolutely, Tanya. If she was in good form, she would not have landed in this position.
Especially not from the start that she had. She does block that check with the pawn, but right now it looks like the house is collapsing. Black can simply pick up that G pawn that we have on the board. Zhongyi is about to have an extra pawn in the position.
Right, and Tanya, I just want to show you the board overview right now. You can see that there is one win for the Ganges Grandmasters, but on all other boards, it's the PBG Alaskan Knights who are winning. So actually, they are in the driver's seat in a big way in this match.
It looks like the team is doing a lot of heavy lifting on all the boards, on the icon board as well. We see Anish still with a big edge. He's got a rook, Vishy's got a bishop. That cannot be good news for the white pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. He's bringing his king in, and from their body language, I feel that Vishy is going to resign pretty soon, Tanya. He doesn't have much there, and resignation.
Just as you called it, Sagar, a position that's undefendable, and Anish gets the job on the icon board. A huge win for the PBG Alaskan Knights.
And it's going to do wonders to Anish's confidence. His team was already doing well. If the icon player starts to, fire, this team is going to be unstoppable.
Well, they've had one little bump on the way here, but it looks like they're already all set to bounce back. And on the Alina Kashlinskaya, I don't think she's changed her chess pose from the start of the game. It's been head in hands, but the position looks really fine for black.
Yeah, not fine, Tanya. It's just completely winning. Look at that. That pawn on e3. Game over. Alina is like tremendously zoned in.
It's one extra pawn for black, and that's one big pawn. All in white's camp. Everything defended. Alina zoned in, up on the clock as well. This has got to go the knight's way on this board.
Yeah, absolutely. Just jump with your knight here. And then there's a big fork looming large here and on this square. Tanya, 96% win probability here for Alina Kashlinskaya. She has been playing tremendously today.
Well, numbers don't lie, and I think this one definitely doesn't. Everything is in black's favor here. She gets the knight in. The knight moves. I think the Alaskan Knights know how that is done. That knight is coming towards white's king. No time to pick up the e3 pawn. You would lose your queen.
She tries a little bit of a trick here, Tanya. She wants to get her queen in if you are not careful. But I believe that you can give a check and try to block that route and then eventually queen your pawn. Something on those lines.
You could fall back with the knight to defend that f7 square. You can give a check, block that file. Lots of options for Alina, and I love the way she's managed her time as well in this one.
Fantastic. But just one thing here, Arjun Erigaisi on board 2 has managed to hold it for the Ganges Grandmasters. This is amazing. It's not easy to beat Arjun. Wow. Insane.
the resilience and resourcefulness of these top players is unbelievable. And Arjun not making it easy, and Notterbeck, he's feeling the pressure. Did you see that? With the force with which he just played right now. He's about a minute and a half. He's got an extra pawn, but White is marching up the board. Lot of counterplay. That H pawn will save White's game.
Right, it's a check there. The king goes back. In a way, Notterbeck
Comes up.
would not be happy with what's happening, but he shouldn't really overpress and lose this. I don't think he has any chance of losing this, but to win is also not easy, Tanya.
And Notterbeck, it looks like he's thinking in Arjun's time. He just made that move instantly. The H pawn's gone, the F pawn's gone. This is a game for two results, as we say. Notterbeck, he's going to try to win this. He's going to play this out.
No, he will play for a win here. He has 1 minute 30
Look at the
seconds.
speed, Sagar.
No, but they are playing so fast, even when they have 1 minute 20 seconds. It's like they are
Someone tell them they've got a minute and a half on the clock.
well, they just don't want to land in that position where they have like last few seconds left, Tanya.
Sagar, they're playing like Formula 1 drivers right now. What on earth is going on? It's 2 versus 1. Black cannot lose this game.
Yeah.
And Notterbeck, he really wants to win. He's trying to flag Arjun right now. Arjun doing the same.
Yes, Arjun now has 58 seconds on the clock and Notterbeck has 1 minute 15 seconds. Tanya, will we see a decisive result or will this be a draw? What's your take?
It's so hard to predict right now, but I do believe this will end in a draw. The players are really trying to flag each other right now. Look at that speed.
No, you know what? You know what, Tanya? I think Arjun is fighting for survival while Notterbeck wants to win.
Undoubtedly, you've got the extra pawn as Black.
And 14 seconds.
He's got a time advantage as well. He's been able to build that with that speed.
But last move of Arjun is to push the pawn, and I think this is good news for Arjun because right now...
Did you see that? That was frustration by Notterbeck because he knows if it gets liquidated, now it's an easy hole.
Oh my God.
He's banging the clock.
Look at him.
That's it. Everything gets traded off the board. Notterbeck looks away. He knows Arjun's done the job. He saved this one for the Ganges Grandmasters.
Well done, Arjun.
Handshakes, it's a draw.
And meanwhile, on board number 5, we also have a result. There we have Alina Kashlinskaya having won her game against Nurgul Salimova, which means that, look at, by the way, Notterbeck banging the pieces. He was not happy.
He looked frustrated with that one, but Arjun defended like a beast, and what a draw that was. And it all comes down to this one, Tanzongi putting the pressure.
Yes, for now, even Vaishali has somehow managed to save her game.
But not the clock, Sagar. 23 seconds.
Oh my God. Will Tanzongi try to flag Vaishali? It doesn't seem like that. Yeah, she's thinking calmly. This is actually going to... Oh, I don't know what is going to happen here.
She's playing on the board and the clock as well. It's a tough save.
Vaishali is winning this position, Tanya, according to the engines.
But can he do it in 22 seconds?
I don't know, but the position is winning. Oh my God, this is important for Ganges Grandmasters. If she wins, they can actually make a comeback in this match.
It will all come down to the Prodigy board then.
Yeah, but okay, on the Prodigy board, maybe Nihal is getting the job done anyway. I think Tanzongi takes a practical decision here. She's like, draw? And I think Vaishali must take it.
She does. Will Tanzongi now decide to play on the clock?
Oh, how much? 15 seconds. I think Tanzongi...
She can do it. But White has such a commanding position with those 2 pawns moving up the board. It will be a gamble.
Yeah. It will be a gamble, but Tanya, it's worth taking with 15 seconds. She's scared. She's like, should I do it? Should I not do it?
But if she does it, the team wins, Sagar.
Yeah.
If she holds this one, she can play this for the team.
But she doesn't know what happened on other boards. She plays for a win, and Vaishali pushes the pawn. The position is right now drawn. But
this is a big risk move.
But who's taking the risk, Tanya? Both are taking the risk. Right now, Tanzongi has the lesser risk, I feel. She takes the pawn.
13 seconds, 12. Don't think, Vaishali. Move.
Yeah, she has to move.
You cannot think right now. You've got 10 seconds on the clock.
Pushes forward.
The rook's going to come to stop that pawn from becoming a queen. She first gives a check.
Rook comes in and... Okay, Vaishali has to somehow make a draw, but 6 seconds left only. Only 6 seconds. Tanzongi pushes the pawn.
Trying to keep as many pawns on the board. But Sagar, I believe Tan Zhongyi will play for the flag here. She will win on time. And
Oh no,
Vaishali is claiming.
did the smart thing. She says this is a draw, and I believe Tan Zhongyi is like, okay, yeah, I agree, this is a draw. So draw, a fair result there. Nicely done there by Vaishali.
Whoa.
But Tan Zhongyi has got the job done. Her team is now winning, moving to the Prodigy board, Tanya, the only board that is left. Nihal Sareen, what is he up to? He's focused.
The bigger question, what has he been eating in this tournament, Sagar, so far? Because look at the performance he's producing. He's winning this one as well. 9 seconds for Volodar Murzin. How do you survive this with no time on the clock?
No, absolutely no time, and also the position is lost. Nihal Sareen is just a monster in this tournament. After this game, he will become the highest scoring player in the tournament.
PBG Alaskan Knights bouncing straight back from the setback that they had yesterday. It doesn't even matter what happens on this board.
Yeah.
But for the confidence, for the game points, Nihal Sareen about to score another victory.
Yes, the score is 10-5 in the favor of PBG Alaskan Knights. They have a 5-point lead, and Murzin knows that he's going to lose here.
It's an extra piece for Black. Do the math. Black has one extra bishop on the board. The king is safe. Nihal knows the team has done the job.
Yeah. But, you know, it's nice to win, and then at the end, he can also get this player of the tournament award. You know, it's a nice thing.
It's a great feeling, and he's currently scored 16 huge points for the team. Nihal, he blocks that open C line, brings the bishop back, and Murzin, he resigns with 4 seconds on the clock. Nihal Sareen getting another victory for the Knights.
Yeah, he's just looking around, and he knows his team has won. Let's have a look at the end of board 5 as the audience erupts into an applause. This was how it all ended. Salimova resigned here. Alina Kashlinskaya had 2 queens. It was a bit too much.
As we see the final moments of this one, look at the amount of time she has. Look at the amount of queens that she has on the board.
Yeah.
The White King cannot survive this. And I believe Salimova resigned just about now. Wow, a total whitewash here by the PBG Alaskan Knights in this one.
Yeah, it is Anish Giri with the win. We had Alina Kashlinskaya with the win. And I love the camaraderie between the first board and the 6th board of this team. Anish and Nihal, like great buddies, always speaking with each other, having a good time there.
Having a good time. The fans are having a great time, as we can see here at Brand's house in London. Nihal Sareen, what a champ he's been for the PBG Alaskan Knights.
He is amazing. He gets the job done. He's always calm, cool, collected. And I think he will be the big reason why PBG Alaskan Knights are so solid in this tournament. Wow, there you see Abhijit Kunte patting him on the back. Shakriyar Mamedyaro giving him a high five. Wow, what a win.
High fives and celebrations in the PBG Alaskan Knights dugout. And Sagar, I think with this win, practically they've secured their spot into the finals.
I think so. They are very much at the top. And there you see 14-5 is the final score. Anish Giri winning. Alina Kashlinskaya winning. Nihal Sareen winning. And that Barham Maqsoodlu was the sole winner for Ganges Grandmasters. Let's have a look at the scorecard, you know, the leaderboard that we have for this tournament. There we have it, the leaderboard. As you said, Tanya, 18 points for the PBG Alaskan Knights with 3 matches yet to be played. Their game point 79. They have a 6-point lead over the Triveni Continental Kings and Alpine SG Pipers. The American Gambits moved up today, so did the Upgrad Mumbai Masters. But with this win, the Ganges Grandmasters chances don't look so good. We are going to the playing venue where James is waiting for us.
Wow, the PBG Alaskan Knights have done it again. Stay with us. We'll be analyzing this match when we come back.